In Greek mythology, no birth was stranger or more symbolic than that of Athena. She was not born of love, nor from the earth, but from the mind of a god. Her arrival marked the moment when thought itself became divine. Welcome back to Legends Reborn, and today, we journey into the origins of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. Long before Athens carried her name, the world knew only power and chaos. The gods ruled by desire, strength, and instinct. Wisdom was a lesser force, respected but often ignored. That changed with Athena. Her story begins with her parents, Zeus, king of the gods, and Metis, the goddess of intelligence and foresight. Metis was known for her insight. It was said she could see not only the consequences of a choice, but the pattern behind every outcome. When Zeus learned that Metis would one day bear a child greater than himself, fear overcame him. To prevent the prophecy, he swallowed Metis whole. It should have ended there, but wisdom cannot be buried or destroyed. It simply waits. Inside Zeus, Metis continued to live and to think. Time passed, and soon the god began to suffer from a pain so intense it split the air like thunder. At that moment, Athena emerged from his head, fully grown, armored, and calm. There was no infant cry, no weakness. Her arrival was instant and complete, as if the concept of intelligence had decided to take form. From her first breath, Athena represented balance. She was not ruled by rage or vanity. She stood for clarity, reason, and purpose. Unlike Ares, the god of war who fought with impulse and destruction, Athena stood for discipline, strategy, and controlled strength. Where Ares brought chaos, she brought order. Zeus was fascinated by her. He saw in her the qualities that even he lacked: self-control and fairness. Athena became his most trusted advisor, a constant reminder that power without thought leads only to downfall. As stories of her spread across the ancient world, humans began to see her not only as a goddess, but as an ideal, proof that strength and intelligence could coexist. Her influence reached beyond Olympus. When the time came for a new city to be founded on the Greek mainland, the gods competed for the right to protect it. Poseidon, god of the sea, struck the ground with his trident and created a spring of salt water, showing his might over nature. Athena offered something different. She planted a seed in the soil, and from it grew the first olive tree, symbol of peace, sustenance, and renewal. The people chose her gift, understanding that true power lies in what endures. The city was named Athens in her honor, and from that choice came the foundations of philosophy, democracy, and art. Athena's presence shaped the values of the people who worshipped her. She represented the mind's victory over impulse, the idea that strength should serve justice rather than pride. Her temples were built not only as places of worship, but as symbols of intellect and civilization. The greatest of them, the Parthenon, stood high above Athens like a crown of marble, its columns aligned with precision to honor the goddess who embodied thought itself. As time went on, Athena became more than a protector of cities. She became the guardian of heroes. Her guidance was not given through miracles or loud commands, but through ideas, through the sudden clarity that comes before action. It was said that when a hero found courage or insight in a moment of fear, it was Athena who placed it there. Her wisdom was practical. She taught people to weave, to build, to create, and to think before they acted. Under her influence, Athens thrived as a city of learning and architecture, where debate was valued more than conquest. Yet, Athena's story also carried warning. She was born from the mind alone, without emotion, without empathy. Her logic could be cold, her justice absolute. She was the perfect expression of intellect, but even she reminded humanity that intelligence without compassion can become its own form of blindness. Through her, the Greeks learned that wisdom and emotion must coexist. To act with reason but no heart is to lose sight of humanity. To act with heart but no reason is to lose direction. The myth of Athena is not only about a goddess, it is about the creation of balance itself, the first time that thought stood beside power and reason challenged impulse. Her birth from Zeus's mind was more than a story. It was a symbol that even the gods must learn to think. And as long as humanity seeks understanding before violence, Athena's spirit continues to live, not in temples or statues, but in every act of careful judgment, every search for truth, and every moment when reason overcomes chaos. Athena was more than a goddess of wisdom. She was the embodiment of strategy, the perfect balance between intellect and strength. Where others saw war as chaos, Athena saw it as a test of discipline, planning, and justice. In the Greek world, war was never far away. Kingdoms rose and fell, and heroes fought for glory, vengeance, or survival. But among the countless myths of blood and battle, Athena stood apart. She was the guiding mind behind victory, the unseen force that turned instinct into order. Unlike Ares, who thrived on destruction, Athena represented control. Her presence on the battlefield symbolized clarity, the power to see every move before it happened. She favored those who fought with reason, those who used intellect as their greatest weapon. Her influence appeared in countless tales. When Perseus faced the monstrous Gorgon Medusa, it was Athena who guided him. She gave him knowledge, not brute strength, to defeat his enemy. Through her wisdom, Perseus learned to fight without looking directly at the creature that could turn him to stone. The victory was not a triumph of violence, but of cleverness. Heracles, known for his overwhelming strength, also owed his success to her guidance. Each of his 12 labors required not only courage, but intelligence. Athena taught him that true heroism was not just endurance, but the ability to adapt and think. And then there was Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca. Of all heroes, he was the one most favored by Athena. His long and perilous journey home after the Trojan War became a testament to her spirit. When brute force failed him, it was wit and resilience that saw him through. Odysseus became the human reflection of Athena's own nature, patient, strategic, and unyielding in the face of chaos. Through them, she shaped a pattern that defined Greek heroism. That intelligence and courage must walk side by side. Athena's domain was not limited to battlefields. She governed the principles behind them. She stood for defense, not aggression, for justice, not conquest. To fight under Athena's eye was to fight for a cause, not for pride or revenge, but for balance. In Greek art and writing, she was often depicted calm in the middle of conflict. While others shouted, she observed. While others acted in anger, she calculated every consequence. The spear she carried was not a symbol of bloodshed, but of precision. Every movement had purpose. This view of war was revolutionary. It taught that power, when guided by wisdom, could build rather than destroy. That lesson became part of Athens itself, a city that valued debate before battle, diplomacy before violence. Athena's spirit lived in its councils and assemblies, where reason ruled over impulse. Beyond war and heroism, Athena's presence shaped civilization itself. She represented the crafts, the arts, and the disciplines that elevated humankind. The weaver, the sculptor, the architect, all were said to work under her influence. Every act of creation, every structure built with purpose, reflected her order. She was not a goddess of blind inspiration, but of method, the patience to build, to design, to perfect. In the olive tree she gifted to Athens, the Greeks saw more than a plant. They saw a symbol of endurance, peace, and prosperity. A reminder that the greatest victories are those that sustain life, not end it. Under her protection, Athens became the heart of learning. Philosophers debated in open forums, sculptors shaped stone into harmony, and citizens learned that wisdom was not a divine secret, but a human goal. As centuries passed, the old gods faded from worship, temples fell silent, and new beliefs rose across the world. Yet Athena's image endured. The Parthenon still stood, battered but proud, a monument to reason, proportion, and beauty. Even as her name became myth, her ideals survived. The philosophers of Athens carried her spirit forward, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle all drew from the same foundation she symbolized: the belief that truth could be discovered through thought. Later, her image would inspire others, in Renaissance art, in the statues that guard modern universities, in every place where knowledge is treated as sacred. Her face became a symbol of enlightenment, her spear a mark of logic defending order. Athena no longer walked among mortals, but her influence never vanished. It evolved. In every scientist who questions, in every leader who values justice over pride, in every artist who creates with purpose, her essence remains. Today, the legend of Athena feels less like mythology and more like memory. The world she once represented, a balance between reason and strength, is still the world humanity struggles to build. Every time logic stands against chaos, every time intelligence is used to prevent destruction rather than cause it, Athena's story repeats itself. She reminds us that wisdom is not passive. It demands effort, courage, and restraint. It requires us to think even when emotion tempts us to act blindly. The ancient Greeks saw Athena as both warrior and teacher, proof that intelligence could lead armies and build cities. In a world where knowledge can both save and destroy, her lesson is more relevant than ever. Power without purpose leads to ruin, but wisdom, guided by clarity and integrity, endures. Athena's greatest victory was never on the battlefield. It was in the human mind, the one place her spirit was born, and the one place it continues to live. This is Legends Reborn. The story of Athena doesn't end with ancient myths. Her spirit still lives wherever knowledge is protected, wherever thought is valued, and wherever courage is guided by reason. Athena reminds us that true strength begins in the mind, and that wisdom, once awakened, never fades. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on the legacy of Athena? Do you think her influence still shapes our world today? And if you have an idea for the next legend we should explore, let us know in the comments below.